Hey students, last day without me, and I just want to give you this interactive online review of what just happened in the previous days without me. So please work on this Schoology review. When you click start, it's going to show you that it's about 10 questions. I do encourage you to do the work on your notebooks. That way we can go back and check for mistakes whenever I come back on Monday. So please just don't guess any answer. Don't just click away. It also is timed, so it's showing me how long you're taking in each question. So please try your best to go back to review um, the lessons you learned these previous days, and then we'll talk on Monday more about these topics, and then be ready for the test, the Unit 4A test. Okay. So question number 1 is showing that you are writing an equation using the intercepts of x and then the y-intercept. If you need a visual of what the template was, once again, you can always use Google and Google writing quadratic equations. In intercept form. So when you go there, click images, and then there's a ton of examples here done for you. So just a reminder of the process, you pretty much look at the intercepts, that's your P and Q, and they go placed right here, P and Q. And then the vertex in this case is being used as the point that is going to be replacing x and y. So then they substitute x and y in the quadratic equation so far, and then solve for a. Once they solve a, that ends up being your equation right there. So try that, please practice it. When the y-intercept is given to you as just the y value, think of it as a point. Y-intercept tends to be 0, y. So it could be any of these. I know you can also graph this and analyze it to find these values in the graph, but try to approach it algebraically. Because there might be moments where you won't be able to use calculator and you could still do this equations without calculator. So question number 2 is telling you that find the parabola that has this vertex and it opens down and it's congruent to this equation right here. So this is in vertex form. We can Google if you want on this. Let's see. Writing quadratic equations given vertex and congruency. And then go to images, and then you can find here examples, I'm assuming. You also have them on your notes, just so you know. Pretty much the congruency is just to tell you what the a value is that you're using. So here's an example of using vertex and point. I don't see the congruency example on Google, but technically just reminding you about congruency is just to tell you what a value you're using. So if the a value right here is 2, just keep in mind that it should be also congruent to the new one you're selecting. So just a huge hint to keep that in mind while you're looking at these answer choices. Vertex is your H and Q, and it opens down. So what does that mean? If it has to open down, even though it's congruent to this a value, it has to open down. So what does that mean as far as the equation, the a value, and all that? The third question is asking you for domain and range for this quadratic equation. Even if you graphed it in the calculator, you still got to analyze it, but try approaching it without graphing in the calculator, just to train your brain about identifying what 2 does to the graphing calculator and what 4 and 5 do to the graphing calculator. I'm sorry, to the parabola. The next one, it's vertex and point, and it's in vertex form, so that is similar to what we have here, and that was in your notes, where you use the vertex and the point, substitute the values, find the a value, and then just rewrite your vertex form using those. Next, we have if the graph is translated 5 units to the left, 7 units down, what is the equation? So you just got to write down which one is the new described equation. This one is saying that it opens up, it has a minimum, it has an axis of symmetry. So minimum and axis of symmetry is given to you once again to create that vertex. So that gives you a hint on what type of function or equation you're looking at. If it opens up, it also gives you a huge hint on what type of a value you need to have. So go back to your notes if you need to. On this one, you need to analyze a little bit the graph. I know it's really hard to tell, so just kind of zoom in. In my laptop, I go to the zoom version right here in the top right corner and just make it bigger. It gives you a scenario, and for you to analyze, because this is a real world scenario, you do have stopping points. This is not going to be an infinity, negative infinity part. This is going to be where does it stop, what's the maximum and min. And then make sure you write, if you look down here, the options are down here in interval notation, and just select the one that matches accordingly to each scenario. This next question is you looking at the intercepts and the point and writing the equation using those x-intercepts, which one matches that P and Q, and which one matches the A value that is calculated when you plug in this x and y value. So please don't guess on this one, actually pause and take the time to calculate. This last one, previous to last one, it's a graph given to you, and they're asking you to select which equations represent this graph below. So this graph is giving you the x-intercepts and the y-intercept, along with also the vertex. So this one, I believe it gives you all the two types that we did, the intercept form and the vertex form. So if you were to do the vertex form, you're going to do the vertex, grab a point, find the A value, and then what will be the vertex form looking at that vertex. And then using the intercepts, what would be the intercept form that matches those intercepts. Now, as far as the A value, just keep in mind that if you calculated the A value on one of them, then the same A value should also be on the other. So just keep that in mind when selecting your answer. The last one, we have a graph where you have to identify the domain and range for this. This is not a real world scenario. It's just a graph. So that means it is going to keep going after this endpoint on the side, like it's going to zoom out to more. So just select which interval notation matches the domain and range for this graph. And that's it. Those 10 problems should do it as far as reviewing what we covered in these days and also what the test is going to test you on. Hope this video helps you.